Welcome to the Small Business Made Simple podcast, brought to you by socialmediaandmarketing.com.au. Being in business is never easy, but it can be simple, or at least simpler. Join me, your host Jen Donovan, every week where we focus on marketing, social media, and working towards simplifying your business. You with me? Let's do this.
Gonna dream it big, 'cause someone out there listening. Everyone's got a voice to give, and it's time I heard you whistling, 'cause there's no point at all, in dreaming small.
Why, hey there, my fabulous listener. Welcome to episode 221 of the Small Business Made Simple podcast. We are closing out 2022 as this goes live. And today on the podcast, we're going to talk about the year 2022 in review, and also talk about some 2023 predictions when it comes to a small business. Thank you for lending me your ears today. I know you have lots of choices out there, and I do appreciate you making me one of them. Now, if that topic of 2022 in review or 2023 predictions has made you a little bit scared, or you think, oh, I'm not ready for this, then please, just keep listening. I promise there will be some really big pieces of gold in here, which might help you when you are looking at what 2023 is going to look like for you. If you are enjoying this podcast, I would love you to take a screenshot and share it on your socials and tag me, because it would be super cool to get to know you as well. The show notes for this podcast can be found at all the W's, socialmediaandmarketing.com.au/221. But before I get started on this episode, did you listen to last week's episode with Kate Merriweather all about LinkedIn? I have had so much feedback on this. I think LinkedIn is one of those social media platforms that people have either forgotten about or not really sure how to use, and have really given up on. But I think there's been a bit of a renaissance since listening to Kate and that episode. So, my advice to you is, if you haven't listened to that episode, then go back and have a listen to episode 220, all about LinkedIn. Even if you don't think LinkedIn's for you, there could be just a little piece of gold in there for you from Kate. I know there's plenty in there, but whether there could just be something in there for you to make you think about LinkedIn a little bit differently. And of course, I just want to, again, before we start, plug my e-commerce business, which is called Spend With Us, that supports rural and regional small businesses. There is like 23,000 products on this site. You can buy a site-wide gift card. So if you haven't done your Christmas shopping, it's probably almost getting a little bit too late for buying products to be sent by Australia Post, but you can always buy a site-wide gift card, and the recipient can spend that at any shop on the website and any of the 23,000 odd products on the website. If you could go check it out at spendwithus.com.au, or even if you could just share Spend With Us with your audience and spread the word to really help people from the bush this year. It's been another tough year. I know it's been tough for everybody, but it's been fairly tough again for rural and regional small businesses. So they would appreciate your support financially, or even not financially, and just spreading the word about our online marketplace. So thank you. Thank you. Heartfelt thank you for doing that for me. Okay. On to today's episode. It's going to be huge. 2022 in review and my predictions for business in 2023. Let's go. Okay, let's start with the year in review. Well, it's probably an understatement to say there's been another tough year. Has it been a tough year for you? My heart just goes out to everybody who's found it really tough again in business this year. We've had some high highs, we've had some low lows, and it's just been another tough year. For online retailers, the competition has been there from bricks and mortar. If you started your e-com business during the pandemic, you were probably a little surprised at those huge online sales that you had been having actually pitted out, because people were going back to support their bricks and mortar, which is a fantastic thing, don't get me wrong. But I do find there has been this talk, especially through my e-com business, where people are like, this time last year I was getting lots and lots of sales. And it's just like, yeah, but this time last year you were the only option. Online was the only option. Lots of our bricks and mortar weren't there. So it's been, fairly rocky for a few e-com businesses that perhaps didn't see that coming. For bricks and mortar retailers, personally, I've actually found them in two camps. Those who pushed through and pivoted and changed and dug in during the pandemic have fared really quite well. The customers that they kept happy, the new customers that they attracted, have really supported them in 2022, and they've come out the other side fairly positive. For those who needed to be completely shut down during the height of the pandemic, and I get it, that wasn't a decision you perhaps got to make, but the people that really affected have really struggled to get momentum in 2022. So there's no judgment either way there. These are just my observations that I'm giving. If you're a tourism-based business if you were a tourist, oh goodness, where are my words? If you're a tourism-based business, it's been a roller coaster, hasn't it? Like 2022 again has had some high highs and some low lows. For service-based businesses, I feel that there's been a little bit more of an even keel here. I have to say that I've seen some great things. Many of my clients have declared business as usual and have actually seen, an increase in their profitability. I have found with a lot of businesses that I talk to and a lot of businesses that I help, there mightn't have been as many customers this year or as many clients this year, but the profitability is up. So the loyal customers we have spent more money with us, but perhaps we haven't attracted as many new customers or clients that we thought we might have. So they're just a couple of my observations that I've seen working with small business owners, both on a one-to-one basis through workshops and chatting to people through keynote speaking, and also from working with others through a couple of government programs that I do. But I thought it might be a little bit interesting for you if I shared a few things that have worked for me this year. You might nod along and think, yep, they've also worked for me, or they just might get you thinking about things a little bit differently for yourself in 2023, and some of the things that might help move the needle for you in 2023. So my first one is SEO. Yep, let's start with the really big one straight out of the gate, right? In late 2021 and early 2022, I hired the amazing Casey to do some SEO on different pages of my website that I really wanted to rank for in 2022. So I had a goal. And I'm like, how do I reach that goal? Okay, these are all the things that I need to do to reach that goal. And one of them was SEO. And one of them actually, specifically, to give you an example, was SEO on my speakers page. I really wanted to do more speaking opportunities this year because we could. Like, we've had 2 years of lockdown. A lot of people were running conferences again. I wanted a piece of that pie. And so I wanted to, get some SEO done so that when people typed in things like marketing keynote speaker or marketing guest speaker or social media guest speaker, etc., I wanted to be up the top of page 1, and I wanted the bookings from it. So that was my goal. How do I reach that goal? One of those elements was to get my SEO done. Did my SEO work? Absolutely. And specifically around my keynote speaking, I had 4 speaking gigs that came directly from Google searches this year. And I've got a couple of leads already into next year. Now, 4 might not seem huge, but it was a great 5-figure return from my investment in SEO. So I invested X and I got a 5-figure return from it. So these are things that I think, that really worked. I need to concentrate on that. And of course, SEO isn't a set and forget thing. It's something we need to constantly work on. So it'll definitely be something that I will be working on even harder or more, or just really getting Casey to do it for me in 2023 and beyond. So for yourself, what do you want to be famous for? What do you want to be found for on Google? And is SEO something you need to put some energy into for 2023? Maybe. I would think so. If you're not ranking for where you want to rank or for the key words that you want to rank for, then think about putting some energy into SEO as part of your marketing budget and your marketing strategy for 2023. So the second thing that's working for me is showing up. Now, if you're a long-time listener, you've just probably rolled your eyes and gone, I know you were going to say that, Jen. Video was my word of the year, and perhaps I didn't do as well in that as what I wanted. I had big goals for video, and yes, I've shown up more on video. Did I show up as much as I really wanted to? Yeah, probably not. But I have actually shown up for my audience. It was a really important marketing strategy for me. And did it work? Hell yeah, it worked. People who watched me show up came and worked with me privately, hired me for workshops or speaking gigs, became podcast guests, or asked me if I wanted to be on their podcast. Lots of referrals were given, which has resulted in more work for me, whether that be speaking gigs or private clients. And if I haven't convinced you yet on the merits of showing up, the merits of human-to-human marketing, H-to-H marketing, then I'll simply beg you now to make it part of your plan in 2023. Please, please, please embrace human-to-human marketing, H-to-H marketing in 2023. I promise you it will get you better results than if you aren't showing up right now. Just getting down off my little high horse now, but simply I will beg you until you listen to me. Anyway, moving right along, my third thing that has worked really, really well for my business is networking. For someone, me, who hated networking only a few years ago, gosh, it's a powerful marketing tool or a powerful strategy. Marketing with the right people can bring you leads, referrals, opportunities in abundance, and above all, friendships. You can network online or offline. I've done it successfully with both. And now, of course, we have the hybrid model where the online people now I'm meeting in real life. But make sure you make space in 2023 for networking or more networking. And I'll just add that I don't think I realize right now just how impactful the networking I did this year will help me in my business in 2023. Opportunities that I can't even imagine right now will come to me in 2023 because of the people I've managed to hang out with or hang around and network with this year. If you aren't doing networking, if networking isn't part of your strategy in your business, please make networking part of your strategy for 2023. I belong to 2 amazing online networking groups. So if you're thinking to yourself, Jen, there's just no networking around me, then have a look online. Have a look at One Roof. The amazing ladies at One Roof have, just an abundance every single week of different activities you can join in, and most of them are online. And She's the Boss. If you are 40-something in business for yourself or a CEO or a CFO and things like that, have a look at She's the Boss, run by Jules Brooks. Absolutely amazing networking opportunities there as well. They're the 2 that I would recommend online. But, if you don't have a networking thing locally to you, create one. It'll be one of the best things that you do. Anyway, many, many other things work for me in 2022, but I wanted to share with you the 3 biggest ones that I could think of that I thought could impact your business in 2023. All in all, my business was a great success this year. My profit was great. I built amazing new friendships, and I helped hundreds of small business owners move the needle in their business, which is what I loved most of all about this year. Could I have done things better? Absolutely. Nothing could be surer. Some of the things that I think I could have done better, for instance, I haven't actually missed a podcast episode all year, but I've definitely been forced to do them, or they've been forced, and they've been very last minute. And I need to plan better in 2023. This is such a big part of my business, and I love doing it, but I felt very forced sometimes is to put a podcast episode out. So that's something that I haven't done so very well this year. My socials have been ad hoc, especially in the last few months. I really feel that I've let my disillusion with Meta get in the way of my business, and I haven't been as consistent as I would like to have been on socials. I have started to implement some things into my business put them in place for 2023 so that this doesn't happen again. And you might look at my socials and go, I have no idea what you're talking about, Jen, but this is the way I feel about my business. And I really do feel that my disillusion and my distaste and distrust of Meta has got in the way of me doing my socials as well as what I would like to have done it. My email marketing has been a little bit inconsistent in places and pretty darn good in other places. So I'm disappointed in some of the things that I've missed doing, and I'm pretty chuffed equally with myself as to things that I have managed to do when it comes to email marketing. And when I look at my goals for 2022, I'd have to say that I've conquered about 40% of them, and found that as the year rolled on, probably about 30% of them I didn't want to do anymore. So they were no longer goals, and about 30% of them I simply didn't put enough energy into to conquer. Maybe they'll be on the board for 2023, maybe not. I have this saying, and it sounds really vain, but it's not, so stick with me. But I have this saying that I've always said to myself, and when I say always, I'm going back to, year 11, year 12. In fact, I remember saying this to my year 10 religion teacher. I went to a Catholic school, and it was like, I always get what I want. And that's something that has really stuck with me all my life. I always get what I want. And it's just so true. And it sounds vain, but it's not. So stick with me, because I always get what I want because I put in the energy into what I want. And so when I don't get something, then I know myself, I really didn't want it, because if I really wanted it, I would have put in the energy and I would have got it. So this is very much an energy thing for me. When I look at my list and I say, 30% of my goals I didn't achieve this year, I know why I didn't achieve them, because I simply didn't put the energy into them to achieve them. Were they achievable? 100%. Otherwise, they wouldn't have gone on my board. So it sounds vain, but it's really just the reality that I live by. For instance, let me give you an idea. So I had a goal this year to run 3 6-week mastermind programs. I did one in February, and that was it. I never gave promoting, launching, marketing that program the energy it needed this year for me to achieve it. So even though it was a goal, I know why I didn't reach that goal, because I didn't really want it. And if I really wanted it, I would have put the energy in and I would have got it. So maybe that's something you could take away from this podcast, is that energy of I always get what I want, knowing you will always get what you put energy into. Maybe not always, but you get what I mean? Yeah, I hope you do. I hope I don't sound vain. To me, it's just the way I live my life. I always get what I want. And if I don't get it, then I didn't want it, or it wasn't for me because I didn't put the energy into getting it. So what goals did you reach this year, and which ones didn't you reach? And why was that? For both achieving and not achieving, why did you achieve them? Why didn't you achieve them? Don't be disappointed in yourself for not reaching goals, though. Because the reality is that if you didn't put the energy in the first place, then that's probably the biggest reason why you didn't achieve the goal. And you probably didn't put the energy into it because you probably didn't really want it. That's where I sit with my goals. So let's move on. Predictions for 2023. Now, I'm afraid to say I don't have a magic wand or a crystal ball to make 2023 brilliant or to know exactly what is coming. I will say that I think it will be tough. I think for some business owners, it's going to be even tougher than 2022. The pandemic is finished. COVID is still around, but the pandemic itself has gone. And the consequences of the pandemic have not gone, and they are very much still our reality that we're in. Now, when I say the pandemic is gone, if you think a pandemic is a worldwide thing that happens that we have no resistance to, we have COVID still, but we have vaccinations. So it's no longer a worldwide pandemic. It's no longer a pandemic. It's something now we are living with. So when I say the pandemic is finished, I don't mean that COVID is finished, just to make that clear. But of course, the consequences, like I said, of COVID and of the pandemic are still very much the reality that we are living in. Economics was actually one of my favourite subjects at school and at uni. And although I'm not good at it, the micro and macro of economics is still something that I look at and make assumptions from. And yeah, I like to think I know something. You know, my family listens to me, probably roll their eyes and think, oh, really? But, you know, frankly, I don't think you need an economics degree to see what is happening in the economy and what will happen. Governments simply cannot pay out billions of dollars to help us move through a pandemic without economic issues in the future. And unfortunately, those economic issues are going to come home to roost in 2023. High inflation, the cost of war, the cost of living, they are all going to impact us as consumers and as business owners in 2023. The impact of that, I can't predict. But for some of us, we will be impacted more as consumers than as business owners. And for some of us, it'll be vice versa. We'll be impacted a lot more as business owners than what we will be as consumers. But it's not dire. And can I just ask one favour of you? Remember, as we head into 2023, as 2023 rolls through, remember that media makes money out of bad news. Now, I'm not against media. I love media, but they do make money out of bad news. So when we head into 2023 and you hear the stories of, you know, high inflationary issues and costs and the woes of costs of living and the talk of recession, it's coming. Oh my gosh, the talk of recession is going to batter our ears as 2023 rolls in. Remember that bad news sells. Media has to talk about this stuff to sell ad space, to sell newspapers, to sell listenership, etc., etc. But you don't have to buy into what they are saying. Step back. Look at your own small economy. Look at your own business. Look at yourself as a consumer and work this stuff out for yourself. I'm not saying the economy won't take a hit, but what I am saying is that you don't have to get bogged down in the storyline, and 3,000% you should dig in and watch your own business, watch for patterns in your own industry, in your own town, in your own little economy, and with your own customers and clients. The pandemic taught us, if nothing else, that we can survive, we can pivot, shift, change, surprise, delight, and solve our customers' problems. This is where you really need to concentrate in 2023. Not listen to all the media hype, but watch for patterns, listen to your customers. What are they saying? Where do you need to move your business model around according to those two things, patterns and customers? My prediction for 2023 is it will be a tough year for any business owner who is set in their ways, doesn't move with the times, doesn't listen to their customers, and isn't ready to pivot, and frankly, doesn't show up for their community. When budgets are tight, who do we spend money with? We spend money with people we know, like, and trust, right? Not some random on the internet, but people we know, like, and trust. So make sure you are building your community, you start showing up, or you keep showing up, or you show up more, you build trust with your audience, and things will serve you well in 2023 and beyond. So what will you do differently in 2023? Well, I guess I have to solve the issues myself. If I look at what I'm going to do differently in 2023, I have to solve the issues of what didn't go so well in 2022, for starters. What are you going to do differently in 2023? For me, I've already started the process. I've hired a couple of new VAs in my business to do aspects of my business that I want to do better, but I need help to do, such as Pinterest and YouTube are two things that just come to mind now. I've built into my calendar more time to batch podcasts and all the bits that come along with producing an episode, such as, editing and emails and social posts. And I've also built into my calendar more time for social media in general, especially video. Not quite sure what my word of the year is going to be, but that will be next week's podcast. Join me and let's have a chat about word of the year on that. I'll take some time in January to plan out launches, and I'll launch them. And I will 100%, and I 100% intend to build more time into my calendar in 2023 that isn't work. My hope is that I will take a day off to enjoy, take a day off every week to enjoy whatever it is that I want to enjoy. But just as I've said both those two sentences, I've realized that my language is not that good. I've used the word hope and intend. So maybe I need to start saying things like, I am taking Thursdays off in 2023, period. Maybe that will work better. So what are you going to do differently in 2023? What do your ideal clients want from you in 2023? What worked and what didn't work in 2022 in your business? And just like you've taken some time to listen to this podcast today, please take some time to go through those two questions, what worked and what didn't work, and make a list. What are your goals? What goals did you hit in 2022? Which ones didn't you hit and why didn't you? And are they still important and relevant for 2023? I think we can learn so much from looking back. We just need to give ourselves the space to actually look back on everything that we have or have not done in 2022. My dear podcast listener, I'm going to leave this episode here because I feel like I've talked enough. I feel like I could talk about this subject for ages, but I know given the time of the year, I don't want to overwhelm you with new strategies and things to do, even though I think that they might help you, because it's just not the right time. But please feel free to reach out to me either in the Like-Minded Business Owners Facebook group, or you can email me or DM me with your thoughts or your questions around 2022, what worked, what didn't, 2023 predictions, what your goals are, and all of that. I would love to hear more from you about that for sure. But otherwise, I'm going to leave this podcast here. I will see you next week for episode 222. I won't be taking a break podcast-wise over the Christmas New Year period. I think it's important to keep showing up in your ears. They might be shorter and sharper than this episode, but I will still be here, so please keep tuning in. But in the meantime, if we're not hanging out on social, let's get social on social. You, of course, will find me on Facebook, Instagram, and my favorite, LinkedIn. But whatever you do, remember, my small business peep, as my opening song says, there is no point in dreaming small.
No time like the present. Tell it like you feel it, say it proud, be true, and let us see you for the star that you are. No point in dreaming small.
I would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land, the Yorta Yorta people, on which I record this podcast and conduct my business today, and pay my respects to their elders, past and present. I extend this respect to the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people here with us today as well.